Venga means let's go in Spanish. Vamos, venga, it's the same. Vamos, venga, 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 venga. Hello, my name is Daniel Olivella. I'm the chef owner of Barlata Tapas Bar in Austin, Texas. I'm originally from Barcelona, Spain, and I've been doing this profession for about 4 years now. And today we're gonna walk through some of my favorite recipes I do, plant-based. And to get started, we're gonna do a whole wheat rice dish. We're gonna accompany the whole wheat with shiitake mushrooms. I got already grilled zucchini, some grilled asparagus and grilled onions. We're gonna accompany these or mix it up with some pine nuts and currants. And then we're gonna add a basil type of pesto I make with my beautiful mortar. And then some parsley picada. This is parsley, olive oil and water. And some sofrito, which is basically tomato and onion reduction. We're gonna cook the rice with a vegetable broth that I make with carrots, celery and onions. Okay, it's important always the broth to be hot. And we're just gonna do 2 cups of the rice. In this pan here, I'm gonna put some olive oil, and I like always to saute my rice before I cook it. It's just basically roasting a little bit the rice to give it an extra caramelization. So I get some olive oil here, and while the rice cooks, which is gonna take about 25 to 35 minutes, we're gonna worry about the vegetables. So I'm gonna measure 2 cups of rice, which should be enough for about 6 people probably. I'm gonna wait for the pan to get a little hot. And I'm gonna put 2 cups of rice. There we go. At this point myself, I like to season it a little bit. I just put a little salt. And I'll stir it just a little bit for now. In the meanwhile, I got another pan here that we're gonna saute the mushrooms with some olive oil and garlic. And while this is done, I've already toasted my pine nuts. We put the pine nuts in the oven at 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. Remember, those go quick. It takes a while to toast, but it takes a second to burn. So I always like to tie something on my finger while I'm doing pine nuts, because they go just like that. They're expensive. So usually you don't have that many, or if you do, you have that many. If you burn them, you don't have any left. Okay, so while we're waiting for the oil to get hot, this zucchini, as you see, I slice it thin, about a half an inch, and grill it. If you see, it's still a little, I would say, undercooked. I much rather to have it undercooked than overcooked, because we're gonna finish it sauteing it with the rice. So I'm gonna dice this while we're waiting. And once this is diced, remember that these dishes are mostly, I would call them bowls. So the idea is to prepare a bunch of things together, and at the last minute, we kind of just mix it up in a bowl. Easier to eat, easier to freeze it if you have to, or put it in the top and leave it in the fridge. I can hear in the background that something is making a little noise. I don't know if it's the rice or the olive oil. I'm gonna take a look at it. I think it's probably the rice. I can hear the rice being fried, so I'm kind of frying the rice a little bit. This in Spanish we call nacar. I can hear too that the other one here, it's going as well, so we're gonna put the garlic. Then we're just gonna dump the mushrooms on it. Oops, and just wanna saute the mushrooms a little bit. We're gonna season them as well. The mushrooms absorb a lot of a lot of olive oil, so I'm gonna drizzle a little bit more. This happens every time I cook them. They're gonna absorb all this too. A little bit more of the rice. All right, mushrooms are done already. I'm gonna put them on the side to cool off, and we're gonna get ready with the rice. At this point, you can see this is already toasted. I guess nakar would be toasting in English if there is a translation. So I can see my rice has absorbed the olive oil, and I can see it's getting a little already changing colors, a little darker. So at this point, I'm gonna measure, since I have 2 cups of rice, I'm gonna measure 4 cups of stock. Always important, I mean, we could do it with water, but if you have some stock, it's better. But always remember to keep your stock hot before you put it on the rice. You're gonna see now this is very hot. Okay, and at this point, I would reduce it, I would lower the heat, cover it, and just let it be on its own. To cover, if you don't have a lid, I often use a bowl. So I'm gonna, if you see it's very, very low, reduce it, and we're gonna come here once in a while just to check it, but should be no problem. Once it's done, we're gonna put it in a sheet pan and to cool off, because we're gonna saute it again with all the vegetables. All right, so let's keep working in our vegetable plate here. I got the zucchini already diced. And we're gonna do the same with the asparagus. So I say they're grilled, but if you look at them, they're pretty raw. So I basically just char them on the grill, because we're gonna saute them again. And I prefer them to find this crunchiness. Okay, once we got this, now the green onions, instead of, I almost chop them very, very small. Once this is done, you're gonna see how you can just put it in a little bowl and freeze it and have rice for a few days. Okay, we mix the onions as well here. And we can put the mushrooms. And we're gonna leave these on the side for whenever the rice is done. Today, as I said, I use shiitake mushrooms, but any kind of mushrooms would do. Any vegetable you want probably would do, but this is the combination I have used. So in here, to season it, I got a combination here of, I think we spoke about this in the last recipe, but this is a combination of salt, black pepper, and paprika. A little bit of pimenton, which is Spanish smoked pepper. I season a lot of things with this base, and my paellas, a lot of the meat we do. And in here, we call this a picada, which we usually do it in a mortar. This is basically garlic, parsley, water, and olive oil pureed together. This is one of the layers we use a lot in our paellas. I would love to recommend that you always keep some of this in the freezer. It's very handy. And also I made here a little, I would call it pesto basically. It's just Marcon almonds pounded with basil and olive oil. This will be another layer in the dish. And as I said, we're gonna finish it with pine nuts, currants, and a little bit of lemon zest. All right, I think my rice should almost be done. Let's see. All right, it is almost done. It takes probably 30 more seconds for the water to evaporate. What I like to do myself, I cook a big batch and I put it in these little quart containers and I freeze it. And there is always whole wheat rice in my house for me. So let's see if our rice is done here. I think the rice should be done. Okay, remember that we want to do is cook the rice. The rice is done. We're gonna put it in this sheet pan and cool it off. okay? Because we're gonna saute it with the vegetables. I just put a little layer, and at this point, once the rice is cool off, you can eat whatever you need today, and then just freeze or reserve the rest for tomorrow. We're gonna put this into the cooler, all right, to cool off, and we'll take it in a little bit. All right, so we got the rice that's cool enough already here. We got our vegetables prepared, cut, and we got the rest of the ingredients: the basil, the garlic and parsley picada, currants, toasted pine nuts, and seasoning, some tomato sauce here, homemade sofrito, smoke oil, extra virgin olive oil, and some pimenton at the end. And we're gonna finish this with lemon zest. So we got a nice large pan here for all this rice. And so what we're gonna do now is sauteing everything, just mix it up. So now what we wanna do is basically stir fry everything. Even if we got this ahead of time, what I wanna do now is give this rice some good flavor. Okay, with all these ingredients that we have here, with the parsley and garlic, the pesto, and some of the tomato sauce. So I have a non-stick pan here. I like to work with these non-stick pans at home a lot. And I'm gonna wait for it to get hot. So this is hot. It's getting hot in here. We're gonna put all the rice. Remember, at this point, everything goes fast. Now you don't have to, you have all your preparation done. The vegetables are cooked because we have grilled them. The rice is cold because we've cooked it and cooled off as well. And now what I like to do is I like to fry my rice to give it a crunchiness, giving some crunchiness, some texture. I can put my vegetables as well. They're already grilled and cut. And now we're going to start flavoring everything. Let's put some of this garlic and parsley picada. I'm going to start with a couple spoons. This is raw garlic, so I'll put it before any other ingredient. And now, if you don't know this trick, use a wooden spoon. I'm going to wait for a little bit for the garlic to cook, but I have this at as high as my heat allows. So we want to, as I say, stir fry all this a little bit. I'm going to put some of the basil here. You can eye everything. At the end, we'll taste it, and then we'll see if it needs to add or we put too much of something or not. We're going to season this. Important, the seasoning of everything. Okay, I'm going to eyeball this as well. And then at this point, I'm going to put some sofrito. Sofrito, it's basically sweated onions with tomatoes, cooked for about an hour and a half. Very thick homemade tomato sauce. I'm going to put some of this, and that's it. Now we're just going to have to mix everything up. And the secret is to have your rice ahead of time. If you got your rice cooked ahead of time, the rest is easy. Okay, at this point, because the currants are dry, I would put my currants here. And I would put the pine nuts as well. If you happen, I don't put any, but if you happen at this dish that you want some acidity, rice vinegar would go great, apple cider vinegar, but I would put that at the end. I would not put any very dark color vinegar, maybe champagne vinegar, cava vinegar, white wine vinegar. We're going to taste it, make sure we're on target. Good. And at this point, as I say, I have a little bit of rice vinegar here. I think it's right, I would turn it off. And at this point, I would add a little touch of vinegar, just a little touch. We stir everything up again, shake everything, and this is ready to be eaten. There we go. That should be a nice portion. And I have this smoke oil that I do it with paprika. Extra, I do it by putting under a flame, very small flame. I put a bowl of olive oil in a metal container, a little bit of this pimenton, which is the smoked pepper, very low heat, otherwise it burns it. And you don't want it to fry it, so just infuse it. So then you drain it, and we're gonna add a little bit of this smoke oil on top. All right, so this is the whole wheat rice dish.
My name is Drew Hayes. I am a registered dietitian and an assistant professor here at the University of Texas, and I specialize in food science. So we are looking here at this beautiful dish that Chef Daniel made, and we're going to analyze it a little bit for food science and nutrition. So the first thing that I would like to note is that this dish is made with, as you saw, the whole grain brown rice. And whole grain brown rice is different than your traditional white rice because it contains both the bran and the germ. And so traditional white rice is made exclusively of the endosperm, which contains only starch. But this brown rice, because it has the bran and the germ, it also contains vitamins, minerals, fat-soluble vitamins, and fiber. So it's an excellent choice. And a nice swap out if you're looking to add some more fiber and vitamins and minerals to your diet. The next thing I'd like to point out here is you see these delicious mushrooms. And mushrooms are actually a really unique food because they are one of the few dietary sources of vitamin D. So vitamin D comes from the sunlight, and it's actually not considered an essential nutrient because we can get it from being outside and walking around. But mushrooms, if they are grown under UV lights or in actual light, provide dietary vitamin D, and that's pretty unusual. So the next component of the dish that we're going to talk about comes from these chili peppers, and it is capsaicin. So capsaicin is a phytochemical. And a phytochemical is any chemical in foods that are non-nutritive, but they can have health benefits. And capsaicin is really unique because it can be used topically or as a pharmaceutical, as an analgesic, so something that reduces pain. And so you may have experienced the sensation when you eat a hot chili pepper where you get really hot, and that same reaction when we get a aggressive, feeling of hot or tingling from capsaicin. It can also be dulled as a secondary reaction, and we can use it as a pain relief or a pain reliever. So that's actually something really neat about chili peppers. Another unique thing about capsaicin, this compound within chili peppers, is that it is fat soluble, meaning that anytime we have fat present in the dish, that can actually dull out or make less extreme that really hot heat that we can experience when we eat chili peppers. And Chef Daniel is using some delicious olive oil in these dishes, and so that can actually help subdue some of that fiery heat that we can experience when we eat chili peppers. So all in all, a beautiful, colorful dish with lots of nutritional benefits.